Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I want to speak to you about a battle we all face, the one within. That quiet, persistent struggle inside that sometimes feels like a weight we carry, pulling us back when we know we're meant to soar. If you've ever felt like you're wrestling with yourself, this is for you. Let's unpack it: 9 reasons why you might be struggling within yourself. Too often we hold ourselves to an impossible standard, thinking we must get it all right every time. Perfection isn't the goal, progress is, purpose is. The question isn't, am I doing it perfectly, but am I doing what matters? When you chase purpose, the pieces fall into place. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown, these fears are loud, aren't they? But here's the truth: fear is a liar. It's there to keep you stuck, to keep you from stepping into your destiny. Acknowledge it, but don't bow to it. You're made of stronger stuff. Let me tell you something: failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone to it. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. You're not struggling because you failed, you're struggling because you've convinced yourself that failure is final. It's not. When was the last time you looked at your life and said thank you, not for what you're hoping for, but for what you already have? Gratitude shifts your perspective. It reminds you that even in the struggle there is light. We've all been there, scrolling, watching, comparing, but let me remind you, their journey is not your journey. What's meant for them won't miss them, and what's meant for you won't miss you. Keep your eyes on your path. You speak words to yourself you'd never say to another soul. I'm not enough, I can't do this, I'm a failure. Stop it. Right now. Be kind to yourself. Show yourself the grace you so freely give to others. Call it faith, call it the universe, call it what you will. There's a source of strength greater than you. When you're disconnected, you're running on empty. Plug back in. Take the time to be still, to pray, to listen, to reconnect. Life isn't a script you can write, and people aren't pieces on a chessboard. Let go of what you can't control and focus on what you can: your attitude, your effort, your response. That's where your power lies. Somewhere along the way, life has made you doubt yourself. But let me remind you, you are strong, you are capable, you are enough. You've made it through storms you thought would break you, and here you stand. Don't you forget that. So what now? What do we do with these struggles? We face them, we learn from them, and we rise above them. The battle within you isn't there to defeat you, it's there to grow you. Walk out of here tonight with this truth: you are not your struggle. You are not your fear. You are not your failure. You are stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you give yourself credit for. Stop aiming for an impossible standard of perfection and focus on fulfilling your unique purpose. Progress and authenticity matter more than perfection. Fear is natural but should never be your master. Recognize it, challenge it, and move forward despite it. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in the face of it. Failure isn't the end, it's part of the process. Each setback is an opportunity to learn, grow, and pivot towards success. Embrace failure as a stepping stone, not a stop sign. Your journey is yours alone. Comparing yourself to others distracts you from your progress and undermines your confidence. Focus on your unique path. When you're spiritually or emotionally disconnected, be it from faith, purpose, or your core values, you lose your grounding. Reconnect to restore balance and clarity. Self-doubt can cloud your vision, making you forget how far you've come. Remember, your struggles don't define you, and you're far more capable than you believe. Perfection is often held up as an ideal, a benchmark we're told to reach if we want to succeed. It's painted as the ultimate achievement, the pinnacle of effort and dedication. But chasing perfection can be a deceptive pursuit, one that consumes energy and focus without delivering the fulfillment we expect. It creates an illusion of progress, keeping us trapped in cycles of self-doubt and frustration. At its core, the pursuit of perfection often distracts us from what truly matters: purpose. When perfection becomes the goal, it can overshadow the reason we started in the first place. Instead of pursuing the deeper why behind our actions, we fixate on flawless execution, worrying about every detail, every potential misstep. This constant striving can paralyze us, preventing us from taking risks or trying new things. We become so afraid of getting it wrong that we hesitate to act at all, and in doing so, we miss out on opportunities to grow, learn, and contribute meaningfully. The pursuit of perfection also fosters an unhealthy relationship with failure. It convinces us that mistakes are unacceptable, that any deviation from the ideal is a reflection of inadequacy. But failure is not the enemy, it's a natural part of the process. It teaches us, shapes us, and pushes us to become better. When we chase perfection, we rob ourselves of these lessons. Instead of viewing setbacks as stepping stones, we see them as barriers, and we internalize the belief that we're not enough. In chasing perfection, we also risk losing authenticity. We start tailoring our actions, words, and even our personalities to fit an idealized version of what we think others expect. We measure our worth against standards that may not even align with our values. This disconnect can leave us feeling empty, even if we achieve what we thought we wanted. Authenticity is rooted in purpose, in staying true to who we are and what we stand for. When we prioritize purpose, we give ourselves permission to show up as we are, flaws and all. Another consequence of pursuing perfection is burnout. The constant pressure to meet unrealistic standards takes a toll on our mental and emotional well-being. We push ourselves harder and harder, convinced that we need to do more, be more, achieve more. But this relentless drive is unsustainable. It leaves us exhausted, unmotivated, and disconnected from the joy that should accompany meaningful work. Purpose, on the other hand, fuels resilience. When we're driven by purpose, we can navigate challenges and setbacks without losing sight of the bigger picture. Chasing perfection often blinds us to progress. We become so focused on what's left to do, on what isn't quite right, that we fail to recognize how far we've come. We overlook the small victories, the incremental improvements that lead to significant change. This narrow focus can be discouraging, making it feel like we're stuck in place when in reality we're growing with every step we take. Purpose helps us celebrate progress, reminding us that each step forward is a step in the right direction, even if it's not perfect. The pursuit of perfection also isolates us. It creates a barrier between ourselves and others as we strive to maintain an image of flawlessness. We hesitate to ask for help or admit when we're struggling, fearing that vulnerability will expose us. But connection is built on authenticity, not perfection. When we allow ourselves to be seen as we truly are, we invite deeper relationships and a greater sense of community. Purpose reminds us that we don't have to go it alone, that our imperfections can be a source of strength and connection. The shift from perfection to purpose is not always easy. It requires us to let go of deeply ingrained beliefs and to challenge the narratives we've internalized about success and worth. But it's a shift that's worth making. When we prioritize purpose, we create space for growth, resilience, and authentic connection. We allow ourselves to pursue what truly matters, not what looks good on the surface. In doing so, we move closer to the life we're meant to live, a life not defined by perfection, but by meaning, impact, and joy. Fear is one of the most natural human emotions. It's a signal designed to keep us safe, alerting us to danger and pushing us to react in ways that protect us. However, when fear becomes the dominant force in our lives, it no longer serves its purpose. Instead of keeping us safe, it holds us hostage, stopping us from moving forward, taking risks, or stepping into the unknown. The truth is, fear can become a master if we allow it to take control. It whispers doubts, amplifies insecurities, and creates barriers where none truly exist. At its core, fear is often rooted in the unknown. What will happen if I fail? What will people think? What if I'm not good enough? These questions spiral into scenarios that haven't happened and may never happen, yet they feel so real that they paralyze us. Fear thrives in uncertainty, magnifying possibilities of loss or rejection while minimizing the chances of success or growth. The mind becomes a battlefield where the what-ifs drown out the voice of hope and courage. This internal struggle keeps us from even trying, locking us in a cycle of hesitation and regret. One of the most debilitating effects of fear is how it feeds self-doubt. It tells us that we're not capable, that others are better equipped, or that we don't deserve success. These messages can become so deeply ingrained that we start to believe them, even when evidence to the contrary exists. Fear shrinks our perception of what we can achieve, making our dreams seem impossible and our goals out of reach. It convinces us that staying in our comfort zone where things feel familiar and safe is better than risking failure. But in doing so, it also ensures that we remain stagnant, unable to grow or evolve. Fear doesn't only stop us from taking action, it can also distort our relationships and decision-making. When fear is in control, we might avoid honest conversations, fearing rejection or conflict. We may hold back from pursuing opportunities, worried about judgment or criticism. Fear can make us overly cautious, unwilling to trust others or ourselves. This caution, while seeming protective, often creates a barrier that isolates us from meaningful connections and fulfilling experiences. Another way fear exerts control is through overthinking. It leads us to analyze every possible outcome, searching for guarantees of success or safety. But the more we overthink, the harder it becomes to act. Fear uses this mental loop to keep us stuck, convincing us that we need more information, more time, or more preparation before we can proceed. This paralysis by analysis prevents us from taking the very steps that could alleviate our fears and move us closer to our goals. Fear also feeds on past experiences. A failure, a rejection, or a painful memory can leave scars that fear exploits. It reminds us of what went wrong before and warns us that it could happen again. These reminders, while meant to protect us, often exaggerate the risks and downplay our resilience. Fear doesn't acknowledge the lessons we've learned or the strength we've gained from overcoming challenges. Instead, it keeps us focused on the pain, ensuring that we remain wary of trying again. The impact of fear isn't just emotional or psychological, it can manifest physically as well. The racing heart, the shallow breathing, the tightness in the chest, these are all ways the body responds to fear. Over time, this heightened state of alertness can lead to stress, fatigue, and even health issues. Living in constant fear drains our energy and diminishes our ability to focus, making it harder to face challenges or enjoy the present moment. What makes fear particularly insidious is its ability to disguise itself. It can look like practicality, as when we avoid risks under the guise of being cautious. It can masquerade as preparation, convincing us that we need more time to plan before taking action. It can even present itself as wisdom, suggesting that staying in familiar territory is the smart choice. But beneath these rationalizations lies the same underlying truth: fear is dictating our decisions. Allowing fear to take control also robs us of opportunities to discover our true potential. Every great achievement, every significant breakthrough requires stepping into the unknown. It requires risk, vulnerability, and a willingness to face discomfort. When fear holds the reins, these opportunities slip through our fingers, leaving us to wonder what might have been. Fear doesn't just prevent failure, it prevents success, growth, and fulfillment. Yet fear, for all its power, is not invincible. It is a feeling, not a fact. It thrives on our attention, growing stronger the more we focus on it. But when we confront fear, when we name it and challenge it, it begins to lose its grip. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. Every time we act in defiance of fear, we weaken its hold and strengthen our own resilience. Fear may never disappear entirely, but it doesn't have to control us. It can exist without dictating our choices or defining our lives. By acknowledging its presence and refusing to let it lead, we reclaim our power and open ourselves to the possibilities that lie beyond it. Failure is often seen as an ending, a moment that defines and diminishes us. It looms large in our minds, casting shadows over our confidence and dreams. We live in a culture that glorifies success, showcasing triumphs while hiding struggles. As a result, failure feels like something shameful, a mark of inadequacy that we strive to avoid at all costs. This perception creates a dangerous mindset, one where failure is viewed as final, an immovable obstacle that halts progress and limits potential. When failure is seen as the end of the road, it creates a fear that prevents us from taking risks. The possibility of making mistakes becomes so daunting that we'd rather play it safe, avoiding opportunities that could lead to growth or discovery. This fear paralyzes us, keeping us from stepping outside our comfort zones. It convinces us that staying where we are is better than risking failure, even if it means sacrificing our dreams. Over time, this mindset leads to stagnation as we trade the pursuit of something greater for the illusion of security. The finality we associate with failure often stems from the weight we place on external validation. We measure our worth by how others perceive us, equating success with approval and failure with judgment. When we fall short, it feels like we've let the world down, as though our value is tied to the outcomes we achieve. This external pressure intensifies the sting of failure, making it feel like a public declaration of our inadequacy. But in reality, failure is rarely as catastrophic as it seems. Its impact is magnified by the narratives we construct around it. Narratives that often aren't true. Another reason failure feels final is the way it challenges our self-identity. We tend to see ourselves through the lens of our successes and accomplishments, using them to build a sense of who we are. When failure enters the picture, it threatens that identity, forcing us to confront doubts about our abilities and worth. It's uncomfortable, even painful, to face these questions, but they are an essential part of growth. Failure pushes us to reevaluate, to separate our sense of self from our achievements and recognize that our value isn't defined by external outcomes. Failure also carries lessons, though they're often obscured by the initial pain of falling short. Each misstep offers an opportunity to learn, adapt, and refine our approach. It reveals weaknesses that can be strengthened, strategies that can be improved, and perspectives that can be broadened. When we view failure as final, we miss out on these insights. We see the experience as a dead end instead of a stepping stone, and we deprive ourselves of the growth it can foster. Failure, when embraced as part of the process, becomes a teacher rather than a verdict. One of the most significant barriers to reframing failure is the weight of societal expectations. We live in a world that often celebrates perfection and instant success, leaving little room for the messy, nonlinear path that growth truly requires. This creates a culture where failure is hidden, treated as a secret to be buried instead of a story to be shared. But the reality is that every success story is built on a foundation of failures. Behind every achievement lies a series of attempts, setbacks, and lessons that paved the way forward. Recognizing this truth helps to normalize failure as a natural and necessary part of any journey. The idea of failure as final also ignores the resilience inherent in the human spirit. People are capable of incredible recoveries, of rising from the ashes of defeat to create something extraordinary. Resilience is born in the moments after failure, in the decision to try again despite the pain and doubt. It's a reminder that failure is not the opposite of success, but a part of it. Each time we pick ourselves up, we build the strength and perseverance needed to tackle future challenges. In viewing failure as final, we rob ourselves of the chance to rewrite the story. A single moment of failure doesn't define a lifetime. It's a chapter, not the entire book. The most inspiring achievements often come from those who refuse to let failure have the last word. They used it as fuel, as a catalyst for change and innovation. Failure, when approached with the right mindset, becomes a starting point rather than an ending. The pain of failure is real, and it's important to acknowledge it. But pain is not permanent, and it doesn't have to dictate the next steps. The choice lies in how we respond, in whether we allow failure to close doors or use it to open new ones. It's not about erasing the mistakes, but about learning to carry them with grace as reminders of the courage it took to try. Every failure holds the potential for transformation. It's a mirror that reflects not only our weaknesses, but also our strength and capacity to grow. When we stop seeing failure as a final destination, we start to see it for what it truly is, a necessary part of the journey towards success, growth, and fulfillment. Comparison is a deeply ingrained habit, one that begins early in life and follows us into adulthood. It's almost second nature to measure ourselves against others, whether it's their achievements, appearance, possessions, or relationships. While comparison can sometimes motivate us to strive for more, it often has a darker side. It steals joy, undermines confidence, and blinds us to the value of our own unique journey. When we get caught in the trap of comparison, we lose sight of what truly matters and allow our happiness to be dictated by external benchmarks that don't reflect who we are. At the heart of comparison lies a flawed perspective, the assumption that someone else's success or happiness diminishes our own. We see others thriving in areas we struggle with, and instead of feeling inspired, we feel inadequate. Social media has amplified this tendency, offering a curated view of other people's lives. We scroll through highlight reels, comparing our behind-the-scenes reality to moments carefully selected to showcase the best. This distorted view creates an unrealistic standard, one that fuels feelings of unworthiness and discontent. It becomes easy to forget that what we see is only part of the story. Comparison also blinds us to our own progress. When we measure our journey against someone else's, we overlook how far we've come and the challenges we've overcome. We focus on what we lack rather than what we've gained, constantly shifting the goalposts of satisfaction. This mindset fosters a sense of perpetual dissatisfaction, where nothing we achieve feels good enough. Instead of celebrating our accomplishments, we downplay them because they don't measure up to someone else's. In doing so, we rob ourselves of the joy and pride that come from acknowledging our growth. Another way comparison erodes joy is by fostering envy and resentment. When we fixate on what others have that we don't, it's easy to fall into a pattern of negative thinking. We start to see life as unfair, believing that others have it easier or better than we do. This mindset not only harms our emotional well-being, but also strains relationships. Instead of building connections through mutual support and understanding, we create distance by viewing others as competitors rather than allies. Comparison sows division where there could be community. The impact of comparison isn't limited to our emotions, it also shapes our actions and decisions. When we're constantly measuring ourselves against others, we risk losing sight of our own goals and values. We start chasing what we think we should want rather than what truly matters to us. This pursuit often leads to frustration and burnout as we expend energy trying to fit into molds that were never meant for us. Comparison makes it difficult to embrace our individuality, which is where our true fulfillment lies. Another damaging effect of comparison is the way it fosters self-doubt. We see others excelling in areas where we struggle, and instead of recognizing their journey and effort, we question our own abilities. Thoughts like, why can't I be as successful, or what am I doing wrong, creep in, undermining our confidence. These doubts become barriers, preventing us from taking risks or pursuing opportunities. Comparison convinces us that we're not enough, even when we're capable of so much more than we believe. What makes comparison particularly harmful is its ability to obscure gratitude. When we're focused on what others have, we lose sight of the abundance in our own lives. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to discontent, yet comparison shifts our focus away from the blessings and opportunities that surround us. It creates a scarcity mindset where we feel that success and happiness are limited resources. In reality, there's room for everyone to thrive, but comparison convinces us otherwise, turning life into a competition rather than a shared journey. Comparison also undermines authenticity. In our effort to measure up, we may start altering who we are to fit a certain image or standard. We begin prioritizing appearances over substance, trying to project a version of ourselves that we think will be more accepted or admired. This disconnect from our true selves leads to a hollow sense of accomplishment, as any success achieved through inauthenticity fails to bring genuine joy. When we compare, we forget that our uniqueness is our greatest strength. It's important to recognize that comparison often operates on incomplete information. We see someone's success, but not the struggles and sacrifices that led them there. We notice their confidence, but not the insecurities they've worked to overcome. This partial view makes comparison inherently unfair, as it pits our full reality against a curated snapshot of someone else's life. It's a battle we're destined to lose, not because we're lacking, but because the comparison itself is flawed. The joy that comparison steals is not just about happiness in the moment, it's about the long-term satisfaction that comes from embracing who we are and where we're headed. When we stop looking sideways, we can focus on our own journey, appreciating the steps we're taking and the progress we're making. True joy comes from living authentically, pursuing what aligns with our values and passions, and celebrating our unique path without measuring it against someone else's. Disconnection from your source is one of the most profound struggles a person can face. It goes beyond the physical or material aspects of life and touches the very core of who we are, the source. It can be interpreted differently depending on one's beliefs. It might be a spiritual connection, a sense of purpose, an alignment with nature, or simply the inner voice that guides us. When we lose touch with this source, it creates a void, leaving us feeling lost, empty, and unanchored. This disconnection can manifest in various ways, affecting our emotional, mental, and even physical well-being. One of the clearest signs of disconnection from your source is the pervasive sense of emptiness. No matter how much you achieve, accumulate, or experience, it feels as though something is missing. This emptiness is often accompanied by a lack of direction. Without a connection to your source, it's easy to drift aimlessly, making choices based on external pressures rather than inner clarity. This misalignment can lead to a life that feels unfulfilling, as though you're moving through the motions without truly living. The further you stray from your source, the harder it becomes to find genuine satisfaction in anything you do. Another consequence of disconnection is the erosion of inner peace. The source often serves as a grounding force, providing a sense of stability and balance even in challenging times. Without that connection, life can feel chaotic and overwhelming. Small setbacks may feel insurmountable, and the noise of the world becomes harder to filter out. The lack of inner peace often results in heightened stress and anxiety, as you're no longer anchored to the steady foundation that your source provides. You may find yourself constantly seeking reassurance or validation from external sources, yet none of it feels enough to fill the void. Disconnection from your source also impacts your relationships. When you're not in tune with yourself, it becomes challenging to connect deeply with others. You may feel isolated even in the company of loved ones, or struggle to be present in your interactions. This disconnection can lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, or feelings of alienation. Relationships thrive on authenticity, but when you're out of touch with your source, it's difficult to show up as your true self. Over time, this can strain even the most meaningful connections, leaving you feeling even more alone. A lack of connection to your source can also stifle creativity and inspiration. Many of the greatest ideas and achievements come from a place of deep alignment, where you're able to tap into something larger than yourself. When that connection is severed, it can feel as though your creative well has run dry. Tasks that once felt exciting or meaningful may become burdensome, and the spark that drives innovation and passion begins to fade. This creative block isn't just about artistic pursuits. It can affect problem solving, decision making, and the ability to envision a better future. Disconnection often leads to a sense of fragmentation, where different parts of your life feel disjointed. Without a strong connection to your source, it becomes harder to integrate your thoughts, feelings, and actions into a cohesive whole. This fragmentation can create inner conflict, as your choices and behaviors may not align with your deeper values or beliefs. You might find yourself chasing goals that don't truly resonate with you, only to feel unfulfilled when you achieve them. This lack of harmony within yourself can make life feel like a constant struggle, as though you're perpetually out of sync with who you're meant to be. This disconnection can also dull your sense of purpose. The source often serves as a compass, guiding you toward what truly matters. When you're disconnected, that sense of purpose can become blurry or even disappear altogether. You may start questioning the meaning of your efforts, wondering why you're doing what you're doing. This lack of purpose can lead to feelings of apathy, as though nothing you do truly matters. Over time, this can evolve into a sense of hopelessness, where even the thought of change feels impossible. Disconnection from your source can also manifest physically. The mind and body are deeply interconnected, and when your inner world is in turmoil, it often shows up in your physical health. You might experience fatigue, tension, or unexplained ailments. The stress of being disconnected can weaken your immune system, disrupt your sleep, and leave you feeling physically drained. These physical symptoms are not just signs of a busy life, they're signals that something deeper needs attention. One of the most insidious aspects of disconnection is that it often happens gradually. You may not even realize you've drifted from your source until the signs become undeniable. The busyness of life, external pressures, and the distractions of modern society can all contribute to this gradual drift. In many cases, disconnection arises when we prioritize everything else over our inner needs, leaving little time or energy to nurture that essential connection. Forgetting your worth is one of the most painful experiences a person can endure. Yet it is a struggle that many face at some point in life. It is not always a sudden realization, but often a gradual erosion of self-belief influenced by external circumstances, societal expectations, or personal setbacks. When you lose sight of your inherent value, it creates a ripple effect impacting your confidence, relationships, and ability to pursue your dreams. This disconnection from your worth doesn't just affect how you see yourself, it shapes how you engage with the world and limits the potential you carry within. One of the primary reasons people forget their worth is the tendency to tie their value to external achievements. Society often measures success in terms of accomplishments, wealth, or social status, creating a narrative that equates worth with productivity. When you don't meet these externally imposed benchmarks, it's easy to feel inadequate. This mindset reduces your sense of self to a checklist of achievements, ignoring the deeper qualities that make you valuable: your kindness, resilience, creativity, and the unique contributions you bring to the world. The pressure to constantly prove your worth can be exhausting, leaving little room for self-acceptance. Another contributing factor is the weight of criticism and rejection. Negative feedback, whether from others or from your own inner critic, can chip away at your self-esteem. When someone dismisses your efforts or undermines your abilities, it's easy to internalize those opinions as truth. Over time, these repeated blows to your confidence can distort your self-image, making you question whether you're truly enough. The voice of your inner critic grows louder, drowning out the affirmations of your value that once felt natural. Forgetting your worth often begins with believing the narrative that you are only as good as others say you are. Comparison also plays a significant role in diminishing your sense of worth. When you constantly measure yourself against others, focusing on their successes and strengths while magnifying your own perceived shortcomings, it creates a distorted view of reality. You may begin to believe that everyone else is more capable, more attractive, or more deserving than you are. This mindset blinds you to your own unique gifts and the things that make you special. It fosters feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt, eroding the foundation of confidence that allows you to recognize and appreciate your worth. Past experiences, particularly trauma or failure, can leave lasting scars that make it difficult to see your value. Painful memories have a way of anchoring you in self-doubt, replaying moments where you felt unworthy or unlovable. These experiences can become a filter through which you view yourself, coloring your perception of your abilities and potential. Instead of seeing failures as temporary setbacks or learning opportunities, you may begin to see them as proof of your inadequacy. This belief can create a cycle of self-sabotage where fear of repeating past mistakes holds you back from embracing new opportunities. The opinions of others can also have a profound impact on your sense of self-worth. If you grow up or live in an environment where love and validation are conditional based on performance, appearance, or meeting certain expectations, it can leave you feeling like you're never enough. Over time, you may start to seek approval and validation from others to feel worthy, forgetting that your value doesn't depend on external affirmation. This creates a precarious dynamic where your self-esteem rises and falls with the opinions of those around you, making it difficult to cultivate a stable sense of self-worth. Forgetting your worth often leads to a pattern of settling for less than you deserve. Whether it's in relationships, career choices, or personal goals, you may start to believe that you're not capable or deserving of more. This can result in accepting treatment or circumstances that don't align with your true value. When you forget your worth, it's easy to make decisions from a place of fear or scarcity rather than confidence and abundance. Over time, this pattern reinforces the belief that you are less than, creating a cycle that becomes increasingly difficult to break. One of the most damaging aspects of forgetting your worth is how it stifles your potential. When you doubt your value, you're less likely to take risks, pursue your dreams, or advocate for yourself. The fear of failure or rejection can be paralyzing, keeping you in your comfort zone even when it no longer serves you. Forgetting your worth convinces you to play small, to settle for safe and familiar, rather than embracing the challenges that could lead to growth and fulfillment. It keeps you from stepping into your power and realizing the impact you're capable of making. Forgetting your worth also affects your relationships with others. When you don't see your own value, it becomes harder to set boundaries, communicate your needs, or expect respect and appreciation. This dynamic can lead to imbalanced relationships where you give more than you receive, often at the expense of your own well-being. It's difficult to build healthy, meaningful connections when you're operating from a place of insecurity, as your relationships become focused on seeking validation rather than mutual support and understanding. This disconnection from your worth isn't a permanent state, but its effects can feel all-encompassing. It creates a lens through which you view yourself and the world, making it difficult to see the possibilities that exist beyond your current circumstances. Reconnecting with your worth requires a shift in perspective, a recognition that your value is intrinsic, not dependent on external factors or opinions. It's about embracing yourself as you are, flaws and all, and understanding that you are deserving of love, respect, and opportunity simply because you exist.